This city doesn't hand out respect. It watches. It waits. Then, when you've proven it, it remembers your name. And once it does, you don't need to talk loud. You just take your seat back here and tell the truth. Hey Jeremy, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up?
Glad to be able to have you join us.
Yeah, baby.
Now I'm gonna let you. Every time I pronounce your last name, I want to do it like the what's that skit? Viva las questions.
Nienhuser.
Nienhuser.
Ah!
It's a good thing. Good thing with that last name, you don't drive a Tesla.
Oh boy. You know, I can trace my family history. The farmer from Germany came over after World War I, so that's nice.
Oh, that
My
wow.
great grandpa, so I can say, hey, I'm not a Nazi.
That's awesome. Not a Nazi. I want a T-shirt that says that. Not a Nazi.
That's exactly what a Nazi would say.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Either way, you're still one. All right. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
All right. So your grandfather came over after World War I. Skip a couple, decades and tell me about you and your family and how you got started, because that's what we're all curious about.
Oh shoot, man! I just have always wanted to kind of about the business, right? How I get started in business.
Well, I mean, really, so what I find, is like a lot of times it's things that were earlier on in our lives that resulted in what we do today.
Yeah. So we're doing some therapy sessions.
Yeah. It's a therapy session.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you always, when you were a kid, were you interested in business? Were your parents entrepreneurial or?
You know what? No. My dad did some sales for Culligan Water.
Oh, awesome.
When I was a kid. He did that for a couple
We
years.
had one of their osmosis systems in our house.
Yeah. Yeah, so my dad kind of has a nice sales background. He's kind of more for it. After I graduated college, I just wanted to keep learning about business.
Okay.
Time to grow up. So I did farmers insurance. I think everybody has to go into insurance.
So kind of, yes.
And when I won awards, I got all the accolades and everything there, but
all right.
Just, go to parties and you say you do insurance and nobody wants to talk to you. So about 5 years of doing that, I moved on.
You'd probably get more interaction if you told people you ran a mortuary.
Right. But when I was a kid, I wanted to do, trash man, right? Brain surgeon, all the things kids want to do.
Yeah.
And kind of went to college, wanted to do pre-med, and just decided that was terribly boring. First semester, actually, and switched it up.
Where were you going to college at?
I was actually going to Oral Roberts University.
Oh, wow. So were you raised pretty religiously? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did that for a couple years, and it just wasn't a good fit for me. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, it wasn't a great fit. I crammed, 4 years of college into 9 years, so.
Oh, geez. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
You're an overachiever. You just liked going.
That's right. No, I hated it, and I kind of wish I hadn't gone to college. And if I can say anything to the people thinking about starting businesses, I'd say you don't really need to go to college.
Right.
So I actually call my mistakes now college classes.
Oh.
That's how I learned.
Yeah.
Make a mistake on an order. Oh,
Yep.
I just learned a measurement. I took a 101 in measurement. Now it cost me $3,000, and all right, let's keep going.
Yeah, work that way to the PhD.
I think I do have a PhD at this point. Yeah.
No, I think that's a really healthy outlook. I always tell people that the only mistakes that weren't worth making are the ones that make you stop continuing down the same path. That instead of taking that information that you learned from the mistake and not moving it forward and using it to do better, if you just quit and give up, now that was a mistake not worth making.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't quit.
Yeah. So your dad did sales.
Yeah, Dad did sales. Mom's a nurse. She worked at nursing homes. She's always like, "Oh, don't drive fast. Oh, be careful."
Nurses are like that.
Super nurse. Yeah, mom and a nurse, so a little overprotective.
That's a protective combination. A little bit of anxiety going on there.
Right. Right. When I did farmer's insurance, my mom was like, "Oh gosh, you won't make any money." Oh. I did pretty fine for 5 years, and then decided to take over these, start Made in the Shade. And
so was that your first company you started after insurance?
You know what? I did remodeling after that. I have a remodeling background.
Okay.
And I just was trying to focus on bathrooms and kind of smaller projects. And I bid this job. I thought it would take me 2 weeks, and it took me 2 months.
Woo!
And that was not a good experience, but I finished it.
It's a good way to work for less than minimum wage.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible. So I pivoted.
Pretty quick pivot.
Yeah, I pivoted, and I talked to my old boss when I was doing remodeling, and he actually owned Made in the Shade at the time.
Oh, okay.
His daughter is epileptic and was taking kind of medical marijuana oils, I don't know what you call it, to help her not have seizures, and ended up moving to Colorado. So when he moved to Colorado, I took over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Had about $80,000 in the pipe when I took over. So
nice. That's I tell a lot of people that first company I ever worked for, same thing. I went to work for a mom and pop financial firm. You get the mentorship, and you usually can structure a pretty friendly terms, or pretty beneficial terms, the acquisition of the business.
Right.
I think it's the best way to get into owning a business personally.
Sure. You learn the business, learn how to operate it. You know how to operate it from the top to the bottom. So I was doing the installs, so I was pretty comfortable with that side of things, and having the sales experience from farmers, it was kind of an easy onboard. We lived off my wife's income for 6 months, and then I was too busy, and she came on board and answered the phones and scheduled things.
Oh, wow.
At that point, and then a year later, we had our daughter, and we hired an office lady. So, and every person I've hired since then has doubled for about 5 years, every person we hired doubled our sales. So
wow. So you've had good success with hiring people then.
Yeah, well, I've had bad success too. I hired somebody a couple years ago, and I had just gone through some people who were decent, but were sucking a lot of time out of my schedule, and they ended up not wanting to do it. So I was like, I'm just going to hire a smart kid who's honest and teach him how to do it. And for about 8 months, he was going, and he was doing good. But I was working a lot with him, and he just decided he was done. And I was kind of good to the point where I was going to let him go. The idea was to hire him and train him, but he just didn't like it. So after that experience, our sales actually went down that year, which was the first year. But after that experience, I decided to hire somebody who knew what they were doing.
Okay.
And we had 20% growth last year. And
wow.
Q1 compared to Q1 last year, we've had 20% growth already this year. So
wow. Now, so how do you like, what steps have you taken that allow you to? Because a lot of times when people experience 20% year-over-year growth, all sorts of other parts of their system and process start to break down and fail.
Right. I mean, we're relatively small. Last year was the first time we hit $1 million in sales.
Okay.
We're using some software to do estimates. We've got another software to kind of track all of our clients.
Okay. Let's hit on that for a second. So let's back up. Tell me about Made in the Shade.
Sure. So Made in the Shade, we sell blind, shade, shutters.
It's not maids that only work while in the shade.
Maybe someday I'll be working from the shade.
All right, so you sell blinds, drapes, shutters.
Yep, blind, shutters, drapes,
Is this retail or?
Motorization. We go into the home, we show the clients all the product. We get, hey, what's your pain points? Why do you need shades in these windows?
Okay.
What they tell us what they like and don't like. We hear their pain points, and we can filter out all the products that aren't going to work for them.
Okay.
And then present options that they like. So it's nice to be able to see those fabrics and textures in your home.
Yeah.
And it's there's some guys out there that are high pressure, but I'm relatively low pressure.
I need to refer you to a friend of mine. spent $1 million on his Christmas lights, and
Oh, yeah?
his neighbors across the street are very upset come Christmas time.
Oh,
and,
yeah?
And so he joked around about him hiring somebody like you to just pay you to go over and
Yeah.
put blackout shades up for
Sounds great.
for his
I'll do
neighbors,
it.
because he doesn't want to not keep doing his Christmas lights.
Christmas vacation style.
Oh yeah, it's something else.
$1 million on lights.
$1 million on lights.
Yeah, man, those exterior lights are pretty
Yeah.
penny.
Yeah. So you do the automation. Now is this, so like are all your clients retail, like you're out there advertising to the general public, or how does that work?
Yeah, we do residential. We're moving into more commercial now as well.
Okay.
There's some condos down in OP we're working on now. We could handle 500 shades. We also do some installs for national companies, that hotels in the area, they're updating their rooms.
Oh, nice.
We've done, 120 rooms before, in about a week. So
Wow.
those are...
So when you said you can handle 500 shades, what does that mean?
Well, like if a 5-story building, they want all aluminum shades, it's a new build, or they're just
Okay.
redoing the office. We'd have to do that by floor, but we could handle that. I've got a couple guys that can come on board and handle it. So
Nice.
I feel like we're sitting in a nice spot. I think I'd be happy at around 2 million in sales.
All right.
But
You said you wanted to kind of cap out at 2 million. Why is that?
I don't know. As you grow, there's different problems. So you're running a business, and it's like every 6 months my job changes.
Yes.
And I'm kind of getting to where I don't really want my job to change anymore.
Okay.
So I'm kind of operating more as a CEO management guy, and I don't think that's the best spot for me. But there's all kinds of ways around that. I guess I could hire a CEO type guy and do some other things. But as we grow, I don't know. It's hard to know what you don't know.
Yes. So what do you not like about the CEO management guy, and what were you doing that you did like?
Emails are just the most annoying thing in the world. I just, I want to take good care of my customers, but emails, they're just, I don't know what it is. I just hate them. Sitting down, tracking KPIs is just not
Not the idea of a good time.
That's not my thing, and everybody's saying, in order to grow, you got to do this, and I'm like,
Yeah. Well, that is the problem, right? Is I always say, right? Like you meet people that own their own company, and they might have been this incredible plumber,
Right.
so they become their own plumber,
Right.
like plumbing company. But they're not a good business person. They're a good plumber,
Right.
right? That was one of the lessons I had to learn.
Right. But what does it mean to be a good business person is kind of what I'm exploring now, because we're in this group, and I really respect all the men in there.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. How did we meet?
Yeah, we met at the CXO Mastermind with Ryan Christopher.
Yeah.
He's a awesome dude. He's got a great history. Helped SVB Flooring grow real big.
Yep.
Some other companies that I don't know the name of now, but yeah, he's a solid
Yeah, I think
guy.
he did something with Pella Windows.
That's right. He did a lot with Pella. That's right.
Yeah, no, he is a solid guy, great family man. Yeah, now, how long have you been married?
Coming up on 10 years,
10
man, in a
years.
couple months.
How many kids?
1 kid.
All right.
Would love more.
Okay. How old is your one kid?
She's turning 5 in about a month.
Sweet. All right.
It's a good time. It's
Yeah.
a great age. You can kind of play with them a little more, and she's wants me to tell her stories all the time.
Yeah, they like that.
Oh, I love it.
So, yeah. So as you find it, so you like, I'm guessing, sales, interacting with clients face to face,
Right.
helping them solve problems.
I like going out. I like solving problems. I like the installs. I like working in sales. Yep.
Yeah. Now that's a true entrepreneur, right?
I like all doing that. Tracking the KPIs, sitting in a box all day is not my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's the problem a lot of entrepreneurs have, right? Is I always talk about, like, businesses go through phases just like a kid.
That's right. Yeah, makes sense.
I always call phase 1 guerrilla warfare, where it's you just cheat taxes, cheat regulations,
Right.
cheat licensing.
Yeah.
Because you're literally clawing every dime, nickel, penny
Just go. Yeah.
to try and survive, right?
That's right.
Your business matures, And then you got to start coming into compliance with some stuff.
That's right.
And this is where a lot of times, it's the old Peter principle of being promoted to your point of failure, right?
Right.
This is where for a lot of entrepreneurs, like, because I'm a you. Yeah. I'm a horrible manager.
Yeah.
I don't know how to manage people. I don't want to manage people. I want everybody to be adults. Do your stinking job.
That's right.
And I want to be free to go do mine. And mine is like face-to-face, client-facing stuff, kind of like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Huh. So as you have this daughter who's, been going from birth to 5 years old, have you noticed, like, has it gotten difficult at all to try and balance being a husband and a father and a business owner? Now, also, real quick, before you get in, let's put a pin in that question for a second. You don't just own one company, right?
Right. That's right.
What else do you do?
We're going to actually end up at the showroom for One Day Doors. It's actually the same guy that I took over the business from 8 years ago.
Okay.
He came back here, started One Day Doors, and I'd be curious what you think about him. He's awesome at sales. He's a go-getter. He's a 80-hour-a-week kind of guy. He just goes and he hustles.
Okay.
But I just don't think that the style that you need for One Day Doors was a good fit for him.
Okay.
So honestly, I am blessed to have Eric Williams as my partner in that project, and he's not available today. I would have loved for you guys to meet him, but he'll come to our mastermind here sometime.
Oh, sweet.
And he's got an awesome background. I don't know if you've heard of City Lifestyle magazine.
Yes.
But he's was one of the big guys out there for a while.
Okay.
And he's doing sales with us and has been knocking it out of the park. So,
awesome.
So we've sold already in the last 3 months all of what Andy sold last year.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's doing pretty well. Got to find an installer for that one. But that's, it's all problems that will get answered eventually.
Yeah. Well, I actually might have a really wild connection to make for you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's it's an interesting product. It's interesting. There's a lot of kind of education that goes along with it. It's kind of a newer industry, and I don't know.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about it.
I don't know.
One Day Doors. What are we talking?
I don't know how much they're going to want me to talk about the process. They're kind of.
No, don't talk about the process, but who are you selling to?
So we're selling to residential mostly.
Okay.
We can get a 20-minute fire rated door. So if the commercial project can use it, a lot of times they need a 40-minute door. I think they're working on getting a 40-minute door, but we can do a 20-minute door. What happens, these old houses in Leawood and Brookside, right, they settle and the doors start hitting the floor, they're not closing right, and instead of having somebody come out and replacing the whole jamb, it'll take them, a whole day to do maybe 3 doors.
Okay.
We could do 20 plus doors in one day because
we
come out, we measure the slab. If your foundation has kind of shifted, what we do is we cut that door to fit exactly how your frame already is. Take your old door off the hinges, pop the new door in on the hinges, update your hardware, all that jazz. It really does add a lot to the home. So, and it's a great vertical too for Made in the Shade. We've had some good referrals back and forth. So,
all right. Do they do anything? I mean, do they do hotels or motels or stuff like that as well?
Yeah, we can look at it.
All right.
Always worth taking a look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could do shades for hotels. As well.
I think I got a wild opportunity for us to discuss.
Awesome.
Yeah. I own part of a company that. Well, have you ever heard of Rebath?
Rebath?
Yeah, Rebath.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guy that founded Rebath did 2 companies at once, Rebath and Ambath.
Okay.
Rebath is residential, Ambath is hotels.
Okay.
And I own part of Ambath.
Nice.
And it's based out of Scottsdale, and it does hotel bathroom remodelings all over the country.
Right. That's a lot of hotels are updating.
Yes.
I guess that's probably a constant thing.
Yep.
I would love to get in on the. We've been doing some installs for other companies that measure and install those, but I'd like to get on the order process too.
Right? Exactly.
Well, yeah.
No, yeah. So I don't know. So that's one of my favorite things. So why did you join this mastermind that Ryan Christopher of Smoothie Jamba.
Smoothie King, man.
King.
Smoothie King.
Smoothie King.
They're selling smoothies now at Kemper, I guess. Well, I
Yeah.
guess we're not too close to Kemper right now, but you know, I always want to grow. Every year I hire some coach, I hire somebody to help me grow, you know, in areas that I'm weak, or just strengthen areas where I'm strong, so I can make my 8s, 10s. Yeah, I want to move into businesses, and I'm not sure how to do that.
Gotcha.
So really, I'm there to learn more about people who own businesses that are in the $3 to $5 to $10 million range.
Okay.
So that I can learn more about what it takes to do that.
Gotcha.
You know, I do want to grow my business, but really, I'm looking at, they call it the 7 trillion wave, or the $7 trillion wave. With all the boomers retiring now.
Yep.
I'd love to get into manufacturing, something a little more on the, I forget what they call it, but you know, on the sales side, on the more foundational.
Okay.
Just because I like providing things that people actually need.
Yeah.
Which Shades have been great. It's been an awesome opportunity for our family, and I love it. I'm not going to knock it. People do need shades, right? You need privacy in your home.
Yep.
But something like, you know, food or steel or something that it's a little more foundational.
Gotcha. One of the common themes that I get from business owners is how everybody else around them who's not one thinks they're just rich and loaded.
Right.
Have you ever experienced that?
You know, I haven't had anybody tell me that, but yeah. You know,
Yeah, but you know, showing up to measure their windows in your Ferrari 488, right? I mean, it kind of. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, I get it. So, when we first started, I'd say I'm kind of starting to realize that everything's not going to fall apart.
8 years in, you're starting to realize not everything's going to fall apart.
Right. Around November, December, every year, you know, things slow down. The winter, a lot of our projects are reliant on, you know, the housing industry.
Yeah.
So new houses get built. That slows down in the winter. That slows down for us. But yeah, I do have to remind myself, hey, this is just part of the cycle of the year. You know, we're back up now. Things are starting to get busy. But yeah, you know, first 3-5 years, I was crying maybe every other week. You know, like, shit, this is hard. Like,
then your wife was working with you for part of that, right?
Right. And
what
then
were those conversations?
Having a baby, you know, training somebody. Looking at it now, I'm like, man, my wife would really be, I mean, our office lady, Natalie, our office manager, is awesome. But I know my wife could do that, and then that's more money we could put in our pocket.
Yeah.
You know, but I also want, you know, she wants to spend more time with our kid.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. And my wife's able to do, I think she does about, you know, 10 hours a week, you know, working on accounting stuff and some things here and there. And that's awesome because it's not my skill set at all. And she does great. But yeah, that's a good question. I like that. I was taking that question from a, right. So what I want is to own multiple businesses that kind of manage themselves.
Yeah.
So what is that going to feel like, taking that jump?
Yeah.
Putting my back against the wall.
Yeah.
And then how would I do that? You know, so, and there's all kinds of gurus online and everything.
Yeah.
People that are full of it.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to be one of those.
No, but I think you're legit. Like, you see the Facebook guys, and they've got all these emojis and
Yeah.
But,
no, look, I always just joke that anytime you see somebody who's more successful than you, and I'm by no means saying that's me. Anytime you see them, the only thing I can tell you for a surety is they failed more than you have.
Right.
Because you said it earlier, right?
Right.
You just can't ever quit.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
You can pivot all
Right.
day long. But at some point, though, I even believe you got to stop pivoting.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And that was one of the questions taken on One Day Doors. And we're still a little early to kind of know if that's successful or not. It's the trajectory's looking great. But yeah, the time putting into One Day Doors, is that taking away from Made in the Shade?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it just, all these things, it takes time. Like, I want it now.
Yeah.
But it takes time to see what's real.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell a story with very little detail because it's I don't want to get myself in hot water with somebody, but I'm friends with somebody who became the president of and owner of the largest commercial door manufacturing company in the world.
Oh.
When he was 24.
Wow.
He's now in his 70s.
Right.
And in 2015, there was a global construction slowdown. The Chinese markets collapsed. They had been building fake towns for a long time. The first 6 months of 2015, in the Dow 30, there was only 3 stocks that accounted for 100% of all growth. Disney, Cisco, and Caterpillar. And Caterpillar was 50%
Down.
of the entire growth of the DJ 30 for the first half of 2015. And then the Chinese stock market collapsed because it came out that they'd just been lying about all their data. And they had to halt trading, and it just tanked the construction all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we were hanging out and he was telling me this story, we were down fly fishing in the Bahamas. The thing that hit me was, you're never safe.
Yeah.
It's like marriage.
Right.
There's no point in a relationship, there's no point as a business owner in which you can ever stop or let up, take your foot off the gas, or think you've made it.
Right.
Because if you could have been doing that for that long, he had to go, the steps he had to take to make it through that were pretty extreme.
Yeah.
But he did.
Right.
Right? But I just remember thinking, wow, like even decades into this and being so successful, you're the largest of something in the world.
Right.
You're still always one wild economic anything from being on the brink.
Right, because China was one of his biggest clients,
Yeah.
the construction in China.
Yeah.
So interesting, man.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Isn't it?
Like, yeah.
All right, well, let's put a pin in this. We're going to go in. We're going to go hang out at one of my buddy's places, J. Rieger Distillery, downtown Kansas City. What is the address here? Well, you guys can always look up J. Rieger. It's pretty fantastic. They got 3 different venues. So real quick, a lot of people don't know this, but Andy, when he took over his family's building and he redid it all, he knew that where their location was, people wouldn't want to just come out for like a meal or a drink. There's nowhere to bar hop around here.
Right.
So what he did is he wanted to create an experience where you could bar hop all within his one place. Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now, back in the day, all the top distilleries named their top shelf. All the distilleries named their top shelf whiskey Monogram. It was their Monogram brand,
okay.
right?
That makes sense.
And so he has a place
floor?
called the Monogram. It's on the top floor. I'll show it to you. Then the very first theme park opened up here, I think in the late 1800s, like 1890 something, and it was called the Electric Park. And so he has a place here called the Electric Garden. It's an outdoor venue. And then one of the original speakeasies or nightclubs here in the early 1900s was called the Hey Hey Club. And so down in the basement is the Hey Hey Club.
Hey, hey, hey.
So, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? So we'll just go in there, we'll get a drink for a little bit, and we'll resume this in a minute.
Sounds like a plan. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a boring story or not. I'm not like a super exciting
It's
story.
No. You were getting there, right?
No,
My
I mean,
job is to get it out of you.
I'm not super risk guy. I do take some risks, but I don't mind that it's been a steady roll. You know, I hear stories of these guys who, they get all these investors together and we've got our $10 million company and blah, and then everything tanks, you know, and I just am not that guy.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like, but you already hit on some things, right? You said for the first 3 years or so, right? You were crying every other week, right?
Yeah. It's a lot.
So what's so look, a very wise man told me that when you own a business, you are alone. You are absolutely alone.
Right.
But you don't have to be lonely.
Okay.
Okay, so what does he mean by that, right?
Here comes the elevator pitch. Here comes the MLM.
Yeah. My pitch to every business owner, my pitch to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Is to open up and to share the challenges you deal with in life.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I don't care what it is. I talk a lot about my PTSD, and I have a PTSD therapy dog, and I went through multiple VA programs, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think I talk about that because I want to tell everybody about what a fucking basket case my head is?
Right.
No, of course not. Why do I talk about it?
Because your story is who you are, and also it helps other people. You know, actually, Keith
Mandela?
Nelson, he used to own Blue Moose Soccer Club.
Yeah.
I lived with him for a while, and I just remember being encouraged just because he's a real dude. Like, when you live with somebody, you see their negatives and their positives.
Yeah.
And I said something to him, I was like, man, I'm really encouraged that I think I could be successful, because I feel like all my problems and all my mistakes keep me from being successful, but seeing somebody with problems can actually be successful.
Right?
It's encouraging.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what you're trying to do with this whole...
Yeah. So I'm changing the name on it because I can't find a URL that is close enough to rideshare, right? But the idea behind calling it rideshare was just like we're sharing like your experience, your knowledge, your expertise in business, and then in addition going above and beyond and sharing your money with the community through the donation to the I Am Foundation, right? And helping bring up the next generation of entrepreneurs, especially with kids that probably in their community there's not a lot of entrepreneurs, or the entrepreneurs they have are more of the loosely defined entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just a huge believer in people not feeling like they're alone.
Right.
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 And how do you not feel like you're alone? It's by knowing that other people are going through the same things you are, the same challenges, the same struggles. You know, like, so I had a speech impediment, and I was in speech therapy as a kid.
Yeah.
Right? Now what do I do for a living? Run my fucking mouth. Right?
Right.
I mean, you look like you're a redhead a little bit. That had to be really difficult to get over.
Yeah.
Having no soul.
Having no soul, that's right. Just the beard, though.
Just the beard.
Just the bottom half, no soul, I guess.
Yeah, right? So, I don't know. I'm just a huge believer in everybody. If everybody's more open and everybody shared the problems and the struggles and the challenges they've overcome. And so you just think about it as an entrepreneur, you have a young family.
Right.
You have a young daughter.
Yeah.
You're a father, you're a husband, you're a business owner of 2 different businesses. And I don't care how conservative you got done telling me you were. I know for a fact that in the last 8 years, there's been moments of pure hell.
Yeah.
Where you're questioning everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Well,
it's about monthly. Yeah.
Yeah, about monthly, right? And I asked you a question, and I don't know if I didn't let you answer or if you changed the subject, but when you were talking about crying every other week, I asked you, what are those conversations with your spouse like at that point now? What's your wife's name?
Aubrey.
Oh, yeah, Aubrey.
That's right.
Yeah, when you're down and struggling, what's it like at home?
You know what? My wife is the daughter of a farmer.
Okay.
And there's not a lot of pity parties happening at our house.
That's awesome.
So, there's you cry about it because of the stress, because you're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But you don't cry and say it's not possible,
That's awesome.
You find a solution, you find a way to fix it. There's gonna be times when you're overwhelmed, for sure.
Of course.
But there's always an answer too. And I think it is like you get like that
always
pressure, right? It's the pressure that makes the diamonds, which is so cliche, but that really is like
the truth.
That's true. Yeah.
It's cliche because it's true.
Right. So you can either escape from that pressure and keep being mud.
Yeah.
Or kind of submit to it, lean into it, and become who you're supposed to be. I mean, that's kind of the thing, is like I don't think, it's not like I want more money at this point. It's like I want to hit my potential. I want to be able to create stable companies that can provide for hundreds of people. How wild would that be to have
Yeah, see, isn't that
100
interesting?
people
Do you
employed.
think that most people, when they look at a business owner, they think that business owner is doing what he's doing for the reasons you just stated?
Right.
Or do they look at a business owner and think that business owner is doing that because he wants more money?
Right. Well, I don't think I will have hit my potential. I don't think I could say I'll hear, well done, good and faithful servant, unless I hit that potential
I love
to
that
provide
scripture
for
too, by
other
the
people.
way.
Right?
Yeah. Right? Because people talk about legacy a lot, right? And ultimately, your legacy has nothing to do with money.
Right.
It has to do with the impact we've had on the people's lives around us.
Yeah.
Right? And money is just a tool. And you don't need money to have a positive impact by any means. Right?
True.
Mother Teresa had no money.
Right.
And she's one of the most famous positive impact humans on the planet. I don't think Gandhi had any money. I don't think, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, I don't think any of these people had lots of money.
Right.
But they all had these huge impacts. But then at the same time, what you're talking about is not really something with money. Money's a result of it. Sorry about that, everybody.
Hey-yo.
You're in Missouri when you got to dodge potholes that look like a meteor that wiped out the freaking dinosaurs hit the road.
I got diagnosed with dyslexia too when I was 12. I took 2 days of tests.
Okay.
At KU Medical.
There's 4 questions. Took you 2 days to read it.
That's right. That's how bad I was.
That's how I knew you had
That's how I knew I was dyslexic. Dude, it was like 8 hours, probably 2 half days of questions. Silly questions. Somehow they figure it all out. And the doctor sits down with me and my mom, 12, and he goes, "Well, you're pretty damn dyslexic." He's like, "Thanks, dude. Dyslexic. That's great. That's wonderful."
Your boy here's quite a moron, ain't he? She's like, I've been telling him that ever since he was born.
I got a 20-page paper at home that tells me all about my dyslexia. But with that comes problem solving, right?
Yes.
And so they say that a lot of dyslexic people are smarter because they have to solve problems a different way than they've been told how to solve problems.
Yes.
Because their brain doesn't work the same way as everybody else.
No, I think the same thing's true with ADD, ADHD, QZH, whatever.
I got that one too.
Yeah. They're superpowers.
All millennials have those.
All millennials.
Seems like it.
I don't know what I am.
Yeah, you're an X, aren't you?
Beats the heck out of me.
Yeah.
76.
Like
Is that an X?
Sounds like an X.
I never cared.
Yeah, that's an X. X's don't care.
All I know is that I have 70-year-old clients that walk in and we're dressed head to toe exactly the same. So I figure I'm transgenerational.
That's awesome.
I'm really like a crotchety 70-year-old grumpy man. I've seen too much shit.
It's been a good time hanging out with a crotchety old man.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So your wife. So how important has that? And I'm not knocking my wife by any means. She works for me today. We have this incredible relationship.
Totally. Your kids are a little older than mine.
22 to 13 years old, but I remember early on struggling, and she looks at me and she goes, Should I go get a job at Walmart?
Walmart. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, baby, let's take our monthly bills, now divide that by the number of hours and multiply that by 15.
Right.
or take the monthly bills divided by 15. You tell me how many hours you're going to have to work.
That's right.
To contribute anything meaningful.
Right.
If you got 1,000 hours in a week,
right.
I don't. And so that's one of my favorite things about business too is I love to just cross a bridge and burn it.
Yeah. That's what my dad said to me. He said he was proud of me for throwing my hat over the fence.
Ooh.
He says you have now you have to go get it.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Put your back up against the wall, burn the bridge, whatever you got to do. In fact, there's a great book called Burn the Bridges.
Yeah.
You need to write a book called Throw Your Hat Over the Fence.
There you go.
So having a wife that she might, you guys might have your emotional breakdowns or whatever when things are tough, but you guys never, you want to throw in the towel, quit, give up.
I've been really blessed with an awesome, solid wife. She's the oldest of 3 girls, grew up on a farm. If you didn't do it, it didn't get done. The animals would die.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the weather is, you go and you do it. So, She's awesome, super blessing, and probably the best decision I've made.
That's awesome.
And it's she's a great kind of complement to my temperament. I'm kind of all over the place, and I want to do everything.
Earlier you'd mentioned if you would to say something to somebody starting off, like if you could take one major lesson learned, one key piece of advice that you wish you'd been given.
Well, shoot, I wish I hadn't gone to college. I just paid that college stuff off a couple months ago.
All right, do you think there's a reason somebody should go to college?
And I'm not using it. If somebody, right, should you go to college?
Yeah,
if you're going to be in the medical field, if you're going to be an engineer, if you're using something technical, if you want to be like the CEO of a company, it probably would be good to have some kind of business school. There's probably good connections there. The way I did it, I just bounced around between like 4 different colleges, and it wasn't.
Yeah, so I just read, joining a fraternity lowers your GPA by 1/4 point.
Oh.
But increases your income by 36%.
There you go.
I made up the last number because I can't remember exactly what it was.
Right.
But it was somewhere in there.
The brotherhood.
Yeah,
Being
right?
a part of the brotherhood.
Yeah, and it's the same thing I'd read about Harvard. Like going to Harvard, the education's no better. But if you have the money to go on the vacations over spring breaks and summers and build those relationships, then it pays dividends, right? Because you're being connected to other people of affluence.
So I'm not knocking college. It wasn't a great idea for me. I know I did it. I think I'm pretty tenacious. It's hard for me to quit, so that's probably why.
What level of tenacity? Would you say you're like a tenacious A, B, C, a tenacious D?
Tenacious D, baby. Wow. Tenacious D, that's right. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I would say, I think you just have to do it. You got to try it.
Yeah, people always want to know what the first step is. People always ask me what the first step is, and I just look at them crazy. It's like, just like do something.
Right. That's the thing with entrepreneurship too, is you're never going to know what the next step is. Like no one's going to be able to tell you. And I'm starting to figure that out. Is like, I have these questions that I'm like, somebody answer these questions for me, but nobody can, because where you're at, you have more information than anyone else around you.
Yes.
They could be a business guru, but they don't know your resources, your temperament, your personality, your connections. They don't know.
Yeah, because there is no perfect recipe, right?
Right.
This isn't making a cake.
Right.
Right? Because there's this infinite number of ingredients and infinite amounts of quantity.
That's right.
And your recipe, like you could have, you and I could both own, you could have Made in the Shade and I could have Shade in the Made. and we're both in Kansas City.
Right.
And they're going to end up wildly different businesses.
Yeah.
So who's to tell you how to do yours?
Right. And there's cookie cutter businesses like, it's a franchise. Made in the Shade is a national franchise. But they give us a lot of leeway on what we do here.
Yeah.
And I liked it because it's kind of like, what do they call it when you're learning to ride a bicycle?
Training wheels.
Yeah. And it's good. I like it. It's like I went into Farmers because I heard they had a great training program. I know you got to have 5 avenues for marketing, and you can't just say you can't say internet for, Facebook, Google, Instagram. That's not 3 avenues. That's one avenue.
One. That's internet.
So, just do it. Do it. Go learn, read books.
I believe that capitalism is the only ism that does not require a gun held to your head to enforce.
Okay.
I believe capitalism is just quite simply 2 people exchanging a good or a service of their own free will and choice.
Sure.
Right? All other isms, socialism, communism, nationalism, a government has to force it. They assign a tax.
Okay.
What happens if you don't pay the tax?
Yeah.
They levy a penalty and a fee. If you don't pay that, they show up to your home. If you don't go, to put you in prison. If you don't go with them, they kill you. The only way to enforce socialism, communism, or any of the rest of these is with the threat of physical harm to you, the citizen.
Right. You are a Republican.
Yeah, I don't know what you call me.
You're a capitalist.
I say I'm a right-wing extremist.
You're a right-wing extremist.
Because I'm also very anti-death death penalty.
Oh, okay.
Again, because I don't want the state to ever. I don't think you should ever be forced at gunpoint.
Yeah.
I think you should be forced at gunpoint to do as few things as humanly possible.
Right.
Okay. So.
You're a libertarian.
Yeah, maybe that's what I am, right? And so, my ultimate heroes. Okay, I also hate superheroes.
Oh, okay.
Most of them, not all of them.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's more upset with that. I might be more.
Yeah.
Upset.
How is Superman somebody to look up to?
Because everything's easy for him.
And he was born that way.
Right.
The guy didn't work for it.
Right. Yeah.
He's not Batman.
I get it.
Who underwent some tragic shit.
That's right.
And devoted his life to physical combat in the betterment of others.
There actually is a comic where they all kind of make fun of Superman because he doesn't have any skills. Like, he doesn't really know how to fight. He's just so strong. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't need to.
Yeah.
But again, take Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So a radioactive spider bites you. You go from being a nerd who can't stand up for himself, all of a sudden you're whooping people's asses in school.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is, I assure you, if you didn't earn it, you would not be benevolent.
Okay.
No one that never earns anything is ever benevolent.
You breed selfishness?
Absolutely.
Because you don't know what it costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, the business owner is my ultimate hero. They carry the weight of the world. Mm-hmm. Another thing I find absolutely insane is that American citizens believe a corporation can be taxed. It is literally not possible.
Right, it's me. I get taxed again.
But it's not you that gets taxed even.
Right.
So if I levy a tax on your business, what happens? All that happens is the price of your blinds go up.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And unlike a tariff, it's not even something designed to protect an American business and incentivize American businesses to bring manufacturing back to America.
Right.
The tax is literally just there to force your consumers to pay more for a product or good or service. The end user is who pays all corporate taxes.
It makes sense.
And so I say, and it's like, we're having to compete. All right now, this is fantastic. How much tariffs does China put on cars going into China? Before Trump ever came in, what's the tariff?
Was it 35?
25% and 17% VAT tax.
Yeah.
How much tariff did the EU put on U.S. cars going into the EU?
Shoot.
10%.
Yeah.
Ours is 2.5%. Why in the hell do they get an 8.5% advantage over American car companies?
Right.
All right. How about Canada? Our closest neighbor and ally.
Right.
What's the tariff on ice cream? From America?
Ice cream tariff.
280%.
Ice cream.
Butter.
Not doing Ben and Jerry's up there?
No, butter. It's all protected. You can't, as an American, do business.
Yeah, in Canada.
In Canada, when it comes to these food
There's
products.
actually the Made in the Shade people in Canada have a hard time because a lot of the vendors don't want to sell up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I'm just sitting here going, like, you as the business owner, you're having to fight the shittiest government I've seen in human history in a long time.
Getting fired up here.
Oh, no, nothing. Yeah. Oh, it just pisses me off. Like, you can't even imagine. You're viewed as, you're a business owner, so there's this.
You've got so much money, so you should be giving all the money.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, here's a good one for you. Who's viewed with the most moral high ground? A restaurant owner or a waiter?
A waiter.
A waiter.
Right.
Who has the highest profit margin in a restaurant?
Probably the waiter.
By a mile.
Yeah.
What's the average profit margin in a restaurant? You think it's 20%?
It's like 3 to 5%, isn't it?
3 to 5%.
Yeah.
But that waiter's getting 20%.
Right.
But you're supposed to feel sorry for them, and you're supposed to go out of your way for them, and they're the heroes of the fucking COVID pandemic because they are earning 20% while some guy is having to figure out sourcing on goods and trying to keep products on the shelves, and he's doing all sort of shit for 3 to 5%.
Right.
And somebody who's a nightmare to deal with as an employee, because no offense to everybody, I mean, I waited tables.
I've done a couple table waiting, yeah.
You're not really hiring from Harvard.
That's right.
So I just think business owners are they're like my superhero.
Yeah.
And I feel like they carry the weight of America on them.
Shoot, man, you're reminding me. I remember the reason I wanted to get into business. I was reading some book. I think it was called Orphan Slave Son, something like that, or listening to a radio program talking about how men grow up. And it was saying there's too many things in America that are safe. In the business world, owning a business is one of the last dangerous things that a man can do.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Because there's no like Wild West to be tamed.
No,
like
there's
nothing really dangerous. You go to the bar, you start a fight, you're not going to die. It's like, so owning a business is really one of the last things you can do that puts your life on the line, that says you better put your big boy pants on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, shoot, if we're going to do this, let's, grow up. We don't want a bunch of pansies.
Well, here's something really interesting. I was just talking to my girlfriend, and she's got like 5 sets of letters on the end of her name in the medical field.
Yeah.
She's a certified registered nurse anesthetist, and then she has a PhD and a doctorate and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she was talking about how one of the things testosterone does is it drives you towards work, hard work.
Yeah.
Difficult, challenging
Right.
work. Right? Well, what's happened in America? So I have a friend of mine that runs a hormone clinic. Do you know one of their largest segments of the population they treat?
Young men?
19-year-old men.
Wow.
Their T levels are down into the low hundreds.
Is it in the
They're
water?
supposed
What's
to
the
be
deal?
at 1,000.
Is it all the microplastics? What are they saying?
I got no.
This is a problem.
It's a massive problem.
This is like the end of the country type of problem.
No, because without strong men, you don't have a society.
Right. Which you sound like an extremist if you say something like
No,
that,
do,
but
yeah.
it's true.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
and I don't give a shit.
who's going to do the work? Like,
yeah, no, I love the view. They said they have no need for a man. Really?
Right.
Like your entire infrastructure
Right.
is run by men.
right,
Women
dirty
aren't
jobs.
doing that. Yeah,
Love
dirty jobs. Right? I love the argument that what's his name, the Canadian philosopher Jordan Peterson. He's talking to
Canadian
this.
philosopher.
Yeah, isn't he a psychologist or something?
Sure.
Yeah, he's talking to this lady. He's like, you talk about equality. You want all this equality. You want equality in CEOs. You want equality in pay.
Right.
How come you don't want equality in the number of women who are bricklayers?
Right.
You don't want equality in the number of women who are roofers?
Yeah, sewage.
You don't want, where's that equality? How come you don't want that equality?
Welders.
Right? How about equality in suicides?
Yeah.
Equality in combat deaths? You don't want equality in any of that.
Right.
You want to cherry pick your equality,
Yeah.
right? And without men, all this stuff stops. And I didn't mean to get off on entrepreneurs. By no means have to be men.
Right.
A lot of my favorite entrepreneurs are women.
Girl boss, baby.
But
I think my wife's going to have a bakery someday.
a bakery?
She loves making sourdough. But it's like one of those things where she loves it so much she doesn't want to make it like work because then she wouldn't love it.
Chore.
But I think she'll have.
Yeah.
It'll probably be like Blue Ox.
Yeah, so my ex, when we had little girls, she started making hair bows.
Oh, yeah.
And we were on a road trip, and she had this egg crate, and she had her thread and needle and ribbon and all this stuff. But she would do things really different. Like she had made up this like starch mixture that she'd run all the ribbon through, and she'd bake the ribbon, and then she'd stitch it, and they're multi-layered. Oh, it was crazy.
Wow.
So we're walking through a IHOP with the kids in tow,
Yeah.
and all these people are like, these women are like literally just exclaiming and commenting on the hair bows our girls are wearing.
Yeah.
She has to go out to the car and get the egg crate and literally sells in an IHOP every hair bow she had made while on the road trip. So she launches this company called Hair Bow Frenzy.
Hair bow frenzy.
Yeah. And in short order, she's in 8 stores in Texas. She's doing the hair bows for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And her hair bow's been worn to the White House for events at the White House. And Target then comes to us and wanted her hair bows in 1,500 Targets across the country.
There you go.
And at that point, it was just such a nightmare
Dang.
because it was like what you had taught. Like she took something she loved to do for the girls
Right.
and turned it into this insane,
Right.
problem, right? So she actually just shut it all down and called it quits.
It's wild that blew up so fast.
Yeah. So tell your wife to be careful what she wishes for. She starts slinging her sourdough.
Yeah, man. Blue Ox Bakery. I think
I
you'll
like the
see
name,
it.
though.
You'll see it in about
Does she call you,
5-10
are you
years.
going to be called Babe?
Ooh.
Babe in the Blue Ox?
Oh yeah, I'll be Babe.
Is that where the name comes from?
You know, it's the Blue Ox. What is it? Paul Bunyan or John
Paul
Bunyan?
Bunyan.
He's got the Blue Ox.
Yeah,
He just I've always liked that.
His name was Babe, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, Babe the Blue Ox?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be Babe.
Yeah.
Hey,
Be
you
the Blue Ox.
paint my face blue. I don't think I'll get canceled for blue face.
No, one of the Smurfs might come after you.
Oh, that's smart.
So, yeah, all right, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story and opening up about some of the personal struggles and stuff.
Totally.
That's really, I don't want all this to always be about struggles, but it's, it's good to talk about the struggles and the successes that come afterwards, right?
Right. I remember a couple of years in, there was this picture going around. Was people think success looks like this, and then what it really looks like is
Yes,
like that's good. I'm glad I saw that picture because now I don't feel like a failure. You know.
Yep, that's the absolute truth. All right, so we're gonna hit your showroom.
That's right.
And introduce you to Elijah from the I Am Foundation.
Awesome.
And so I'm looking forward to that. So let's get out of here.
Good thing.
All right. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing today?
How you doing, Elliot?
Yeah, it's good filming with you
What's
today.
up? Hey, what's up, man?
This is Elijah from the I Am Foundation.
Awesome.
Wanted to wrap up your episode with introduction to Elijah, so he can tell you a little bit about what your donation is going to go to and the good work that he's doing with the youth in Kansas City. And then have you give us a little tour of your showroom here.
Sounds
So
good.
I'm going to step out and let you two take it away, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you again. How you doing, man?
Good, Elijah.
Hey, when I walked in here, I was like, wow, I need one of these.
Yeah, all
Didn't
right.
say, I am one day doors and closets.
There
Okay.
you go, yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much for your donation. It's going to impact over 1,200 kids. This summer, we have this huge project where the students are rotating between 4 to 5 different businesses and colleges. So imagine middle school and high school all together, leading, encouraging, motivating them to see themselves greater. Really sick. I freaking love it.
That's awesome.
So I thank you for your donation. We're teaching them professional personal development, financial literacy, real estate, basically everything you and I, all of us, wish we knew when we were younger. You know, some people taught it, some people didn't, but we're basically teaching it now with experienced professionals like yourselves. So you guys get a chance to share your business with the students, walk them through your business, give them a problem in your business, and then they execute on that. And then you're like, yeah, this is good. Probably not. Then you get a little more work in
That's
here.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because not every kid wants to go to college, but the different trades can help them actually see where they can go.
Totally.
So that's basically what the I Am Foundation does. We provide leadership development training to help the students figure out who, how, when, where, and why. Like, how can you do it? Soft skills, professional skills. I mean, I could go on all day.
Yeah,
But this is what we do. And so I want to thank you for your donation. And anyone watching, hey, you can donate too. Don't let this,
right.
this guy's great. Elliot's great. Well, you too. You got a role to play. We have a lot of kids in greater Kansas City. We have opportunity to affect not only Casey Mo, KCK, Emporia, Kansas, Paola. We have opportunity to connect Olathe, Shawnee, all that. Students come from far and wide to basically provide support. And this is the greatest part. I kid you not.
That's right.
One kid named Matthew, he's in Olathe. I tell him about what we're doing. So he's like, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to help. I said, man, I got you with some gas money this summer so you come mentor and lead. He says, nah, man, I know you need the money. Man, you know what? I'm gonna make so much money. I'm gonna donate to you.
Okay.
So kids see the impact in it. Sometimes they just need, other leaders to actually believe in them. So now Matthew's going to go out and work a trade, I think in welding or something like that. Yeah. And then he's going to just provide support in the summer as a student leader, like a recent graduate from Olathe School District, and provide basically support to the kids. Nice. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much,
That's
man.
awesome.
And I'm excited to hear more about what you do and how you do it, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it. Yeah, so One Day Doors and Closets, we took over about 6 months ago from a friend of ours. He just was ready to move on, so he kind of just said, hey, if you want it, you can have it. And I said, well, I'll figure out how to make that happen. Like, okay.
Now, did they get the name because they were going into competition against 2 Day Doors?
Yeah,
They
2 Day
wanted to,
Doors, that's right.
Make it even quicker?
It's like a purchasing agreement. It's like a franchise/purchasing agreement with the guys in California that make the doors.
Okay.
So it's really interesting way that's set up. But
So what makes it one-day doors?
so one-day doors, we can come in, we can measure everything. We
Wow.
have a tool to measure with. It's an expensive tool that you just measure. You can measure all the points on the doors. So if your house has like shifted at all, if you got a door that's squeaking or not working, we can get that cut so that it fits exactly in your opening.
Sick.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Got some
So
doors.
wait, the reason it's one day, right? We come measure and we can do like 30 doors in one day.
Dang.
So usually you have to do the jams, you have to set up everything else. What we do, we come, take your old door off, put your new door on. 15 minutes a door.
That's
All right.
freaking
So
pretty
what
cool.
does this place demonstrate?
Right. So we've got closet systems as well. So closet systems, pantries, mud rooms, that kind of thing. Lots of ingenuity here. Any way that you want your closet set up, whether it's you need a bunch of space for shoes or ties. People love closets. So wish Eric was here to talk about that.
Do you guys also make the doors?
The guys in California do.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we measure them.
Yeah.
We give them the measurements. They have them made. It takes about 2 months for them to come back.
Okay.
But they have the world's longest paint line. And they paint that on. It's baked on there. It's very durable.
Jeez.
So it's like you get a contractor to come do your doors. They're going to roll the paint on. It's going to be some silicone-based paint. Your kid's going to scratch it. It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
But these are pretty durable.
Wow.
So
The more you know.
right. So it's just a few of the doors that we offer. We have 60 plus door styles and sizes. But like I said, we come in, measure everything. 2 months later, you come out, boom, your doors are done.
This is a game show, guys. What's
Yeah.
behind door number one?
That's
Oh, gotcha.
It's a wall. we should put prizes like
You
this.
should. I think
You
we
won
could.
50% off. That's right.
And if you're watching this, you can win a door. It's just going to cost you. Okay.
That's right.
That's right. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we're working off mics here. So, Jeremy, thank you for the episode. Thank you
Yeah,
for showing
totally.
us your showroom.
Thank you.
Yeah, Elijah, awesome.
And
Elijah,
thank you.
As always, thank you for the work you're doing with the kids
Thank you.
and helping bring up the next generation of entrepreneurs. So, until next episode, this is Elliot,
Peace.
Elijah, and Jeremy signing off.
Names get remembered in this city for a reason. What you said in that seat, it's part of yours now. And whether they get it or not, Casey heard you. Backseat Ballers, where the ones who built it finally speak.